Welcome to the Produce Moms Podcast, where we believe there is a produce mom in all of us. I'm Lori Taylor, founder and CEO of the Produce Moms. For 10 years, I sold fresh produce to over 300 grocery stores in the U.S. And today, my team and I are fully focused on inspiring people to eat more fruits and vegetables. This show is just one of the ways that we hope to inspire you and your family to eat more produce and live a better life. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, join our community of almost 40,000 in all 50 states and over 30 countries by visiting theproducemoms.com/subscribe. And be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. Thanks for being here. Enjoy today's show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is the Produce Moms Podcast, and today's a great show. Today might be truly one of the most amazing shows that I've ever had the chance to record, because in today's episode, we are talking about the B Corp journey. And I know that most of you, I believe, know this already. The Produce Moms started the process of B Corp certification in January of 2021. Oh my goodness. And now here we are at the beginning of quarter two in January 2022. So April 2022, we were able to announce our certification, which was amazing. I mean, it just, you feel like you get to, the way I described it to my team was, wow, on one side of the coin, I'm like, yes, we made it to the finish line. But then really, when you start thinking about it, when you are a B Corp, when your company becomes B Corp certified, you very quickly realize, once you take your breath from the certification process being behind you and that certification coming, being validated and official, and you see your business on the B Corp directory, what really this is really the commencement. This is the beginning. Like, the work is truly just beginning. And we have had so much fun, a whole lot of work. And really just, it's just been a great rebirth of the business as we've started our B Corp era. And when we thought about how we were going to celebrate B Corp on this platform, on the Produce Moms podcast, it was really easy to me what we were going to do. The gals on the team, they're like, well, we could kind of come around and do like a roundtable. I was like, nope, there is a guest that we must bring on, and she's our guest today. So Kerri McDevitt, she is with Impact Growth Partners, and we'll talk a little bit more about what Impact Growth Partners is all about. Certainly, we're going to get Kerri on the show here in just a few moments to introduce herself. But I'd like to just start this off by saying I would not be a B Corp founder. My business, the Produce Moms, would not be B Corp certified if it weren't for Kerri. She heard me speak at a virtual event. And after she realized what my passions and purpose were behind the Produce Moms, she felt strongly that we should consider B Corp. And I'll never forget getting that random message from this woman named Kerrie, who I had never heard of before, in my virtual event inbox, and saying, "Hi, my name's Kerrie, and I attended your remarks. And have you ever considered B Corp certification for your business?" And I wrote back immediately. I was like, "Yeah, actually, I have," because as a founder, when you're trying to build a business, and you're trying to build a business that has tremendous purpose, I'm a huge believer in, like, good things. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel. You can look at what's out there, who's doing things right, the businesses that you admire, the founders that you look up to, and start studying them all, and this applies in really everything, and not just business. Like, look around you, what inspires you, how can you emulate that and bring it into, your sphere of influence in your life or your professional life. And, so when I was doing that, just at the earlier stages of owning this business, I was like, wow, a lot of these companies that I love are B Corp certified. So I was very familiar with the certification when Kerri made the recommendation that I look into it. And actually, I was kind of taken aback, like, oh my gosh, did I just get to a point with my business where we would even qualify for B Corp? I mean, I was a nervous wreck throughout this process, because I thought that we were totally out of our league. And so today's show is with Kerri. She was our consultant for the B Corp journey. I worked hand in hand with her weekly for over a year. to qualify the produce moms for this B Corp certification. And really what you'll learn as we're talking, I say we worked over a year to qualify. The produce moms already was qualified. We worked for a year to figure out how we could best present, document, formalize. There were gaps in the operation that Kerrie was able to call out to help strengthen our position with the B Corp journey and more. So with that, Kerrie, welcome to the show. We're glad you're here. I could go on and on. I mean, I just realized that I'm like 10 minutes into the longest introduction ever because you warm my heart. You are just someone who's empowered me. And gosh, I cannot believe when we hopped on this Zoom to record the podcast, I was like, wow, Kerrie, this brings back the best of memories. Like meeting up with you on a Zoom. It just feels right, sister. I'm glad you're here. Say hello.
Hello. Same here, Lori. It's just so nice to see you. And it's always nice to see you and to be on the Produce Moms and just to have been with you on this journey. And I can't say enough about you and the Produce Moms. And it was so fun to work together. And I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Kerrie. I am so glad you're here. So tell everyone with us today a little bit more. What is Impact Growth Partners? What do you do? I mean, TPM is just one of several amazing brands and businesses that you and your company have supported.
Yep. So I'm a consultant, and specifically I'm a B Corp consultant. So I work with Impact Growth Partners. We are a women-owned, women-led, very small consulting firm. We're based here in Connecticut, but we work with companies throughout the world to achieve certification. I work with small businesses, large businesses, businesses all over the world. And I was so happy to find you and the Produce Moms. And once I heard your story and your journey, I just had to reach out to you and just to see if you had ever considered B Corp certification, because it's a certification that's for companies like yours that care about the planet, that care about people, that care about purpose. Certainly you care about profit as well, but beyond that, we call it the 3 Ps: people, purpose, and profit.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I agree with you. I mean, I've always felt that way. And I'm glad you brought up those 3 Ps because it's so true. And it's a good opportunity for me to emphasize to folks, without a lot of people don't like it when you bring profit or money into such noble things as taking care of the planet or operating with great purpose. But, money definitely empowers you to have the most impact and give back.
Exactly. And that's so important, is to give back. And I think that's one thing that we came to recognize with the Produce Moms, is that you and your team are all about giving back.
Yeah. Thank you. It really was a joy when that was the impact model that was matched with us, the giving back business impact model. When we went through that long questionnaire, when that opened it up, I was like, it just was a moment of validation. So let's talk about the process. I mean, the journey from how you go from, I think we want to be B Corp certified, to like, what do you do next? Let's walk people through that. So the first thing there's an application process. Maybe you should talk more about this so that we can help people understand, like, this isn't something that this is not an overnight certification, obviously. That's kind of what I want people to understand. This is something you really have to, the process, only the committed make it through. You really have to be discerning with everything as it relates to your business operation through the B Corp journey.
So sure. So basically the tool that one uses is called the B Impact Assessment. And so when we talk about sort of the process, that's sort of the framework. And that actually allows you to sort of basically create a plan for your business as well. So the B Impact Assessment is broken down into 5 different sections. And the first section has to do with governance. And then we move into the workers section, then the community section, which has to do with issues surrounding diversity, equity, inclusion, charitable giving, your supply chain. And then we move into the environmental section. And then finally, the customer section. So during that time, you and I were having amazing conversations about strategy for the business, about how you can do better, how you can give back even more, how you can create policies and frameworks that can benefit both whether it be your employees, whether it be the environment, whether it be your listeners, whether it be the farmers, and basically how you can help the entire industry and also help all society in general.
Yep. And, I should probably open up the press announcement or even log into that illustrious dashboard that I spent so much time in with you to kind of refresh myself on all of these different sectors. But I'm just speaking from the heart here. So I will tell you that probably my favorite part of the journey from an entrepreneurial point of view, you really, if you've never sat down and defined things like, what's your employee leave policy? Those are things that if you have to have those policies in place to be a B Corp certified business. And I do think that it establishes I feel like it's made me go from, a very like, our strategy is to stay in business. We're constantly pivoting. We might not have a clear defined policy. We operate on handshakes to here's who we are. Here's how we do it. Here's what you can expect from us. Here's how we're holding ourselves accountable. Here's how you can hold us accountable. It was a huge graduation for my business to become B Corp certified. And I believe so strongly that it has set us up for, frankly, generational success. This process empowers businesses to be structured in a way where every single stakeholder looks at the business and says, wow, this is a great place. Well,
I would agree. And also the fact that you're considering all stakeholders in your decision-making.
Yes.
And one aspect of B Corp certification, which we haven't spoken about yet, is the legal change that is required by businesses. So remember that B Corp certification is only for for-profit companies.
Yes.
And there is a governing body that is a nonprofit that oversees B Corp certification. That's called B Lab. But all of the companies who are certified are for-profit. So one aspect, not only do you need to go through the assessment, you need to have a minimum score of 80 when you complete all of verification, but you also need and you had well above that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you also need to make a legal change. So whether you're an LLC or whether you're a corporation, you have to basically make a change to your legal documents, whether it be your operating agreement or articles of incorporation, that you do consider all stakeholders in your decision-making. So whether it be your workers or the community at large, the environment, you're also considering your shareholders, but you're considering everyone with your decision-making. And that's a big deal. And that's something that we don't take lightly. The B Lab doesn't take lightly.
It's a huge deal.
And that's why it's such a challenging, it's a big decision that a company has to make, whether they want to make that decision to consider everyone, when they're making decisions. So, but it also allows you to embed your values, like I know your values, into your business so that they are there for the long run, right? So that, your interest in giving back, your interest in taking care of your workers, your interest in being part of the community, that's all embedded into your framework at the Produce Moms. And that's, something that I'm really proud of for you. And, I think it's really enlightening. And I think that's what you're talking about, is once you became certified in March, it's like, wow, you finally, it's like commencement. It's the end, but it's also a beginning, right? It's the beginning of your future of the Produce Moms.
Yep. And you're right. We did actually, I mentioned April previously. April was when we announced it. March, we actually certified mid-March, which is also very special because March is International B Corp month. And we just, honestly, I was at the point where I had to, when we got certified, I mean, I kind of held the news close to vest because I didn't even know if we were going to certify. You kept telling me, calm down, Lori, relax. But it's such an intense, I mean, gosh, Kerrie, we worked on it for over 15 months. You just really focus on getting that certification. And then I just was like, we're going to push the pause button on the announcement and make sure that everything is in place. But when we announced it in April.
Remember, there are so many steps that are involved in the process. And I kept, saying, remember when you get to the final point where someone actually from B Lab was assigned to you and they were scrutinizing your application and requesting you to upload documents and to defend all of your answers. As I say to my clients, it's like defending your thesis. Yes. And you're basically going to bat for your company, and you did an amazing job. And, if I have to just, because I think you're very humble about it, but you ended up with over 117 points when the minimum number for certification is 80. So 117 is amazing. It's above average. It just proves, all the hard work that you do, all the care that you give to your, to the community, to your work. It's all evidence there. And I'm just really proud of you.
Oh, Kerrie, thank you so much. And, I will share a win, a B Corp win already with our operation. We recently had someone who needed to take some time off for a family member's medical leave. And, she was a part of the team. She has gifts that other people on the team don't have. One of our pending publications needed her talents. I knew that there was no way I could ask her for creative output when she's taking time off for an emergency family medical leave. And at the same time, I knew that it wasn't really right to push back the publication for our partner who was awaiting it. So, in true B Corp fashion, we thought about all of our stakeholders, our farming partners, our internal team, our audience that counts on us for this content on a daily basis. And we were like, there's a better option. What is the best option? How can we still serve everyone? And so we shifted that content deliverable to some photos. And then we were actually able to later in the month when our other team member was feeling better, because she's one of our contracted employees. So, any job that we shift off her plate is also technically money shifted off her plate. So we made that shift for the content, but then we also looked ahead at what can we shift back onto our teammates' plate so that she doesn't have lost income over this. And I really I'd like to think that I would always be that deliberate, right? You would like to think, yep, I'm always that boss. I'm always that person. But I think that undoubtedly the B Corp journey, it's what made me not even think twice about okay, we're going to move forward, but we're going to take care of all these things. And I do think, Kerrie, it'll set the business. That's what I mean when I say generational success, right?
Well, exactly. And I think one thing I've noticed with clients and you as well, you in particular, is I think it makes one more mindful of decision-making and more conscious as to what you're doing. And you are going to think a little bit more through a decision than you might have otherwise, and looking at the bigger picture. Because really what I love about the B Impact Assessment and about B Corp certification is it's a very holistic certification. So it's it's almost like looking at the whole, instead of the whole person, you're looking at the whole business.
Right.
And actually, I wrote an article for B Lab, one of B Lab's publications related to impact business models, which we touched on a little bit, because one gets points for operational aspects, let's say policies and your employee handbook and documents and things like that. But you also get you get a few extra points for your what's called impact business model. And the one that sort of popped up, two actually popped up for the produce moms, including one which is designed to give, which recognizes not only your contributions through 1% for the planet and giving back to organizations that support the earth and beautification of Indianapolis and other things that you believe in. It also recognizes your advocacy for the produce sector, for farmers, for everyone, for education. That was another one of your business models, was education and educating the people about healthy eating and nutrition, all of that. And I in my article, I sort of recognize the impact business models as like the soul of a person. So if you're thinking of, being holistic, it's sort of that which, you just is, I think, stays behind when we're gone. And same with a business. It's like, that's what's inherent in your business. And that's what sort of keeps you going. And that's the purpose of your business. And so I was really happy when those impact business models came out with the produce moms, because I think they do really reflect your values, your interests, your passions. Of educating the public, and also of giving back, and just doing good for the earth and for people. And
and I said this during our weekly sessions together, I felt very strongly that the values that were coming through in our B impact assessment were the values of agriculture. They were the values that these farmers that we're so blessed to work with every day have taught us. Organizations like Global Women Fresh, who have taught me that through agriculture, we are empowering women around the globe. Oftentimes, being the only industry where a woman can earn a professional wage in certain parts of the world. And then of course, as it relates to climate justice and taking care of the planet, it's agriculture. If without a healthy planet, without healthy soil, without healthy air, clean air, we're out of business, So those are all things that have been taught to me over the years of being part of this industry in fresh produce. But thank you for sharing that, Kerrie. It really was such a beautiful journey. I know that probably most weeks you chuckled at how I was like, I feel unprepared. I have done nothing since our meeting last week, but we certainly, what we accomplished together, it was some of the best days of my entire entrepreneurial journey.
I describe myself as a cheerleader / nudge. So, I'm the project manager. So I was, my job was to remind, tasks to get done, remind us to get the task done. And we work together and collaboratively. And I think that's what I love most about my job, is just meeting amazing people like you, meeting amazing founders who care about the world. And, it sounds cliche, but really want to make the world a better place. I always say I don't work with jerks. I work with amazing people who really want to give back. And I love connecting my clients with other clients. And one thing I can say too, is that the B Corp community, once you become part of it, or even during the journey, is extremely collaborative.
Definitely.
And, not cutthroat. It's like, how can I help you? How can I lift you up? How can I help you become part of this community? And there are so many different, whether it be subcommittees you can join, whether it be women helping women, whether it be, depending on your sector, there are different groups you can join. And that's what I love. I love to see the clients, once they become certified, they sort of, it's like they start to fly, and they really embrace also this community, and they're embraced by this community. So,
absolutely. And I definitely believe business can and should be a force for good. And that is one of the, that's kind of the ethos of B Corp in a way. Business is a force for good. We can be the change. That those are taglines and sayings that I see in all of these very uplifting B Corp forums and collaborative opportunities that you're speaking of. And it's so true. My welcome to the B Corp community has been just so warm, so inviting. There's been so many folks, even just on LinkedIn, who have reached out. It's just been amazing. So let's though talk about, why business is a force for good, why B Corp certification has never been more important than what it is today.
Well, and as you know, there was quite a long waiting period. Once you submitted the assessment, there was quite a waiting period to become what's called verified. And that's when one is assigned an analyst, and that's when your application is reviewed more intensively. And that's when all the documents and backup data has to be uploaded by you. And was, we had to wait. So, we waited, 6 to 8 months to basically get to that point.
Right.
Why? Because now there's no better time than now. When you sort of look at the issues of our day, I mean, there are many, there are a lot of stresses. There's so much going on in the world. It can be so overwhelming, and I'd say two of the catalysts that have prompted so many to apply for B Corp certification is sort of, I think we saw an uptick during COVID because people really had a pause. There was a pause. And I think people realized, climate change is no joke. You know that better than most, especially being related to the agricultural industry and, just the impact of climate change on the world. So that's number one. And also, I think there were a lot of signals that there is inequity and injustice in the world. I think that they saw a huge uptick after George Floyd incident. I think it was just, I think during COVID, perhaps it was just right in our face, that, wow, there's something wrong. We can do better. Basically, we can do better. So I think even a lot of companies started to reflect and to see how can we actually do better and how can we be part of this community that wants to do better. And like you said, there are a lot of different taglines. One that I really like is businesses trying to be the best for the world, not just the best in the world.
Amen.
So the best for everyone.
Right.
So I think that whether it be climate change, whether it be the injustices of the world or inequality, or just, whether it be, B Lab recognizes, for example, that women-run businesses also have their own challenges. So when it comes to the certification, there is a fee tied to certification, which is based on companies' revenue. But there's a significant, right now it's 40% discount for women-owned businesses that are small, smaller businesses.
Made a big difference for us. So as a bootstrapping small business to have that
recognizing that women have extra challenges, recognizing that BIPOC people have bigger challenges. So offering those discounts to make sure that this is an inclusive community and to make sure that everyone has access to this amazing community. So I think that, the world, it's like the prime time, you sort of I look at my daughter who's 17 years old. She is all, this generation is looking for products, looking for services that benefit the world. So whether it be looking for secondhand items versus firsthand, looking for slow fashion versus fast fashion. I mean, there's a consciousness going on, and I think it's crossing all generations. But I think it's something that businesses have to deal with and are trying to deal with it and want to, let's say, have some type of certification or reflect the fact that they consider the environment, that they consider diversity as an issue, that they take all of these very important issues into consideration.
Yeah. And in the world that we live in at the Produce Moms, how are you treating your farm workers? How are you, that's all part of the values of B Corp. And, this platform in particular on the podcast is really, we learned through the journey, Kerrie, that the podcast was really the place out of all the places that we publish and connect with folks. The podcast was the place where the Produce Moms qualifying attributes for our B Corp certification kind of shines through more so than anything else. When you consider all the different stories we're telling here on this platform, the way that we welcome folks from all different points of view, all the females that we have empowered through this show, the stories that we've told to fight and support, a heightened level of farm worker justice and, working conditions. Those are all examples of how this show that you're listening to right now is, it's making the world a better place. And it's amazing because in 2018, when we launched this show and I was going through the strategy of setting up the Produce Moms podcast with our very first producer, he asked me, what's the point of the show? And I said, to make the world a better place. I have it in my notebook. It's amazing. And so it's like, this is something that it's a level of validation for me. It's also a level of huge accountability for me as I continue to grow the Produce Moms in an arena and in a space that each and every day we have more and more competitors at TPM, but there aren't very many, there's no one that I know of that's doing what we do that also has this certification.
Right. And when you talk about accountability, I think that you now have the tools, and I think we work together to create some of those tools that will help you, whether it be to track some of this impact that you're making.
Right.
Because I think you're very humble. And so when we talk about advocacy, for whether it be better labor conditions or whether it be for pay or living wage and things like that, you are a big advocate for that in the sector. And that was recognized during the B Lab process. And you should get kudos, for that. There's a certain transparency that is mandated, also when you become part of the B Corp community. So as far as your score, is now public, if one goes on to the B Lab site, to the directory, you'd be able to see the Produce Moms and be able to see how you scored in different areas. So that is something that not every company is willing to do, but you were, brave and you have your beliefs and your values, and that they're adequately reflected in your certification. You have, you should be so proud, and your team should be so proud, and your listeners should be so proud to be part of such a prestigious, I say that prestigious in a very positive way, community of people who really care and who prove every day what they're doing is helping the world and helping their stakeholders, whoever they may be.
Thank you, Kerrie. I agree. And, when you think about prestige, we'd be remiss not to mention the current state of B Corps worldwide. It's a growing community, to Kerrie's point. A lot of people, that's kind of what I did, in 2021 after surviving 2020. I'm like, okay, what do we do this year? Like, how do we position TPM to be bigger, better, more impactful than it's ever been? And as fate would have it, I met Kerrie, and then off to the races we went with our B Corp certification journey. But, it's like, is it a 5,500 or what's the total amount?
Right. So worldwide, I just was looking at the figures now because it's changing all the time.
Every day.
Every day. And I think that finally a lot of the businesses that were in line, waiting in line to become verified, have now become verified. Some of them, who are able to make it through, because so many companies who apply, by the way, who hit submit and submit their assessment, very few become certified. It just happens that we help the companies to go to cross, hopefully to get certified, and we do our best to do that. But right now, there are about 4,900 certified B Corps in the world. So again, it's a global certification. So that's, and then in the United States, there are about 1,800.
Wow.
So, think of all the businesses you have in your own town. There are so many. So if we add all of those up, it's still a very small percentage of businesses that have achieved this certification that will go through this process, because it takes time. And I think that is one of the obstacles that companies face when they start this process, is just carving out the time. Yeah.
And it flips the model a little bit on a for-profit business where, it's not just about the P&L and the money. It is about all of the stakeholders. It's about all of these different pillars that are part of the B Corp, certification, your governance, your workforce, your environment, your community. And, I think a lot of people say, oh yeah, that's for all, that goes without saying. Well, not really. It doesn't really go without saying, it should be how every business operates. But, this is a certification that, the only way we're going to maintain our certification, because we will have to recertify now in 3 years, is if we stay committed to everything that we've declared and, continue to track and document. And, it's been a huge onboarding for my very small team, but you know what? We all love it. Every single person on the team has not thought twice about diving in and getting involved with the B Corp journey and era at the Produce Moms.
Well, that's amazing. And I think that they should feel very proud to be part of a certified B Corp. Also, the company I work for is certified B Corp. Yes. And we wouldn't feel right about helping others if we weren't, eager to go through that process ourselves. So we also have gone through that process, but it also gives, a certain amount of accountability, a certain amount of pride to work for a certified B Corp. And I think that also, whether it be your workers, whether it be your listeners, whether it be someone's customers, they should feel proud to be affiliated with you. You're an amazing person. You have an amazing business, and rightfully deserved. You are now certified B Corp. So,
well, thank you. Celebrate. I have been celebrating. I'll tell you what. Not only have I just feel like I've grown so much on the business front, but I feel like even in my own personal life and how I carry myself as an individual, woman and a family person, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, like I have arrived, so I do find myself carrying those values of B Corp, where you really dive into every nook and cranny of your operation through this impact assessment.
There's no rock left unturned.
Absolutely not. And what it did to me, and I'm sure there's many founders and folks who have gone through the B Corp journey that can relate to this, and Kerrie, you as well, helping all of these businesses that you serve. I had tremendous personal growth too. As I was declaring the values for my business, in tandem with that, I'm declaring my values as an individual, and it's just been a really beautiful journey. And if anyone's listening, I think that, if you're listening and you're in a position where your employer, or if you are a business owner, your business is qualified, look into it. For sure, look into it, because this has just been probably the best thing I've ever done as a business owner. And then if you are a consumer, which everyone is, start paying attention, familiarize yourself with that B Corp logo. If you're not already familiar with it, check out the B Corp directory, look into the products that you buy the most, figure out if those products are manufactured and brought to market and make their way into your home through production and with values that align with yours. And if they don't, I guarantee you there is a B Corp certified business that can replace whatever that given product or service is that's part of your daily life.
I would say it's important to vote with your dollar.
Amen.
Vote for what you care about. Vote for companies that align with your values, because they need your support.
Right.
And I think I completely agree. And I'm so thrilled that you're part of this community, and so thrilled that I had the opportunity to work with you and to get to know you and to become friends with you. And I think it is an enlightening experience. As you said, it's nice to see. And I think there's a catharsis sort of that goes on, and sort of a recognition that, you've arrived, that your purpose in your business aligns with your vision and your own values as a person. And I think that there is something beautiful to that. And I think it just makes it all worthwhile.
Thank you, Kerrie. I agree with you. So this has been just a heartwarming conversation, and a great way for me to, kind of share with our community why we did it. I don't know if I really articulated that in a standalone statement, but the biggest reason I said yes when Kerrie reached out to me was because I've always known that the Produce Moms is a force for good. I knew when I hit publish on the very first blog on our WordPress site that this business is here to do great things. That came a lot. That was my affirmation and my purpose behind the 2015 acquisition from my former employers. And it is the underlying, Kerrie referenced earlier, like she's the nudge. I nudge every member of the TPM team, every person that this business touches each and every day when we are thinking about what we do next or how we're going to do something, or even if we're going to send an email, how are we going to make sure that this email that we send each and every week, oftentimes multiple times a week, how are we going to make sure that this is an email that makes the recipient's life better, and I've always been that person on the team that's been like, nope, we're not working towards completion. We are working towards purpose. And I'd be a horrible founder if I wasn't, if that wasn't my ethos, but I do think that is the reason I did this certification, because I have always felt that way. And this was an opportunity for me to get that validation for what I have always viewed as sacred and special, and so unique. The Produce Moms as a business and a community, I have always felt like we had one of the most unique things that has ever, graced the internet. That's a bold statement, but it's truly how I feel. And this certification and the fact that we went through the journey and we indexed so high. I mean, Kerrie, you're right. To have that 117-point score, that puts the business, that puts the Produce Moms in quite an elite status, within the B Corp certified community. So it was validation for me at the highest level when everything came through. And and like I often say, we're just getting started. Like this is just the beginning. But Kerrie, this has been a true joy. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for helping me grow. Yeah, you are just, I don't know. I know that this would not have happened without your support. So thank you.
No, thank you, Lori.
Yes. Thank you to you, Jen, everyone at Impact Growth Partners. The firm, your agency has been a dream to work with. So thank you very much. And you're right. I was your client, but what I really felt like was I was your friend, and that's such a great compliment for someone in a consultancy role. And I'm so thankful for Impact Growth Partners and you in particular. So with that,
we're a good team. We're a good team.
Oh my gosh, we're the best team. We're not going anywhere. I mean, we got to recertify in 3 years. I'm going to need your help again.
Exactly. I know. I always say to Jen that my end date never ends because, my clients become my team members. And, I just want to make sure that you're also always part of the B Corp community, that you're always aware of what's going on. So I love to keep in touch and just see how you're doing and follow the Produce Moms and see what you're up to and get ready for recertification in 3 years. So
thank you. I know, right? Well, Kerrie, this has been a tremendous episode for all of you who have stuck with us and, listened to today's show. We appreciate you being here. Kerrie's going to get the closing remarks and the last goodbye to everyone. But I guess my final thoughts for this episode are, look for that B Corp logo, figure out, and if you don't see it, figure out what your dollar is voting for with the products that you're bringing into your home and the different services that are part of your daily life. And, we're here to help with the Produce Moms. And I'm confident that as we progress at TPM, you're going to see more and more content on our website and on this podcast that spotlights B Corps and the amazing community and values that unite us all in the B Corp community. So with that, Kerrie, thank you for being here, and you get to say goodbye to our listeners. And any final thoughts, the closing for today's show, the mic is yours.
Sure. Well, thank you, Lori. This has been amazing, and you have an amazing community. I really appreciate everyone listening, and just don't be afraid. If you're a business owner, even a small business owner, even if you're starting a business, there's an opportunity to achieve what's called pending B Corp certification for startups. So that's a great way to benchmark your mission and to benchmark your operations and what you hope to achieve as a business owner. So I just want to say thank you to the Produce Moms. You'll always be in my heart. And Lori's amazing. And I really appreciate all of your efforts, all of your patience, and your hard work during this. And you did it. You accomplished what you wanted to achieve. And, I don't take that lightly.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Produce Moms podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a featured guest, just send an email to Lori@theproducemoms.com. We know there is a produce mom in you because there's a produce mom in all of us. Join our community on Facebook and all social platforms. Help us change the way America eats. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.